Elkhuizen. I am working for SEP Data Protection, and it's been an honor today to present our solution and our company to you. In this call or in this conference meeting, I will be joined by my friend and senior pre-sales engineer Ralf Bogner, and today we will talk about the protection of data in cloud-based environments. So let me first share my screen with you. So I assume you can all see my screen now. So for those of you who are not familiar with SEP yet, we will be having another session tomorrow, which we will be more explainable about who we are, what we do, where we come from. But in general, SEP is a data protection company. We protect your most valuable asset. And in this case, that is absolutely your data, because data is irreplaceable. Data can, of course, be located in multiple locations. It can be on-premise, it can be off-premise, it can be in a cloud solution, it can be in a private cloud or a public cloud. It can be spread widely. So today's session is focusing on one of our products called CAPS, which is a short for Cloud Application Protection Services. It's a long word, but just keep in mind that it's CAPS. It's much easier to remember. So what is CAPS? SEP CAPS, by the way, SEP is powered by Keepit. It's a Keepit solution, which we have a cooperation with. But it's a security. It's a data protection security for cloud services like Microsoft 365, Dynamics 365, Google Workspace, and Salesforce. Those are cloud solutions that we see boosting very heavily over the last few years. A lot of users, companies are migrating their mail solution and workflow towards these Microsoft or Dynamics or Google Workspace environments. The big issue one of the issues with these cloud services is shown in this sheet here. Because if you use these services, which are great, then you have to be aware that there is a huge split, a very important split in responsibility regarding who's responsible for what. Let me explain this. Here in yellow, you see that there's the responsibility of Microsoft or Google in this case is the network, the hardware, the virtualization layer, the operating system, application. Basically, everything up until the application layer, it's the responsibility of the cloud provider. But in gray, you see that the responsibility for the users, for the data, and the administration around those users and data, that is still your own responsibility. Google, Microsoft, they will not take care of this. Please be aware of this. This means that you have to protect the data inside these cloud services, just like a solution you have running on-premise. In that case, it's not much difference. If we take a further look at the threats that we see in these cloud apps nowadays, is that the cloud providers, they have the responsibility for power failures, natural disasters, software failure, hardware failure, basically anything to run the application. That is their responsibility. On the customer side, it is your responsibility to protect yourself against viruses, malware, external hackers, malicious deletes, ransomware, programming errors, and very important, human errors. Still, the most of the data losses are caused by human errors. This is still your own responsibility. Microsoft, Google's, Salesforce, these companies will not take care of these responsibilities. So it's up to you to protect this data. And this is where we have a solution for you guys. As I mentioned, we call it the SEP Cloud Application Protection Services. What it basically is, it's a cloud-to-cloud backup and restore. It's a replication. So we take the data outside Microsoft, outside Salesforce, outside Google, and we place an identical copy on a private cloud. And this is a solution that we call CAPS, and it's powered by Keepit. Keepit is a Danish company with a headquarter in Copenhagen. They work globally, and we are working together to service this or to offer this service to you guys. Basically, it's a backup as a service. It's a SaaS solution. Regarding the responsibility, as I mentioned, the responsibility for protecting data in cloud environments is no different than from the responsibility when it's running on premise. You still need to protect your most precious assets, which is your data. Taking a look at what we protect with the Microsoft 365, that is quite simple. Basically, everything you run in the Microsoft 365 environment is and can be protected with our solution. So we're talking about emails, also the shared and the public folders, of course, the in-place archives, calendar, task, contacts, SharePoint sites, OneDrive, groups, teams, everything is protected. If you take a look at another solution, similar solution, it's Google Workspace. What is secured with the Google Workspace? What do we offer in the Workspace environment? Well, it's of course Gmail, it's the Google Drive, it's the Team Drive, it's Calendar, it's Google Sites, and it's Tasks. So it's basically the environment, the complete Workspace environment, which is also protected. Regarding the solution for Salesforce, it's the same technology, it's the same philosophy, but again, it's a different solution. And we can protect the accounts, contact leads, opportunities, activities, notes, tickets, and user-defined fields for objects. Those are all the basic features that we have in Salesforce that we can protect with our CAPS solution. Another one that we still see a lot of customers building businesses and start to use more and more is the Dynamics 365 solution. It's the same technology, as I mentioned, it's the same philosophy, but we protect the dynamics for sales, customer services, field services, protection services, and automation, and marketing, of course. So those are the 4 areas and 4 cloud solutions that we can protect, because, as I mentioned, these providers will not protect your data. It is your own responsibility. Please take that into consideration. And here is a nice phrase. Even though it's more than 10 years old, it's still very valid. And the quote is, there's only 2 types of companies. Those who have been hacked and those that will be hacked. And that is very important because it's not a matter if, but when you will be attacked in whatever way. So please make sure that your data is secure and protected in a strong and good way. This is also quite interesting to share with you because there's multiple reasons, of course, why data is lost, especially when it's in the cloud, like Microsoft or Google. Please, what I see often in conversations with customers is that they think everything is running in the cloud, so it's secure. We can access it from multiple angles, from multiple devices. So if I cannot access it from one laptop, I'll take another device. That's true, but it's still connecting to the same data. And if the data is lost, you have an issue. And the main reason, which you can see in 73% of the reasons for data loss, is human errors, accidental deletion and override, 63%, and closing accounts, 10%. So almost 3/4 of all data loss cases are caused by human errors. So this means that really have to be careful training new people, but also make sure that if something is lost, then you have a solution to easily restore your data. Hacking and insider threats, 20%, but still increasing, especially due to ransomware. And this is a hot topic as well, and you really need to protect. Basically, we are the last line of defense. If your data has been hacked, if your data has been attacked or under attack, then you want to have a safe set that you can restore. So please make sure this is in place. So as I mentioned, what is the solution that we offer? It's clear that you need to do something, okay? You really need to protect the data because it's not done by the providers. So what we offer is a cloud-to-cloud backup solution. And what we do is we take the data outside Azure or outside Google or outside Salesforce, and we make a copy, a one-on-one copy in a high available cluster. And this is run on multiple locations worldwide. I can show you in a little while. And the technology that we use in these cloud environment are based on Linux and Solaris infrastructure. It is highly available. It is very flexible. The system can easily be set up. But this will be shown by Ralf in a live demo. So he will show you the solution because once you see it, it's more easy to understand. And we use intelligent snapshot queuing for this technology, which will all be shown by my colleague Ralf in a little bit. So what it is we take the data outside these large clouds and we put it in a private cloud. And it's for our European customers, I know it's a little bit different for you guys, but I didn't want to get it out because I think it's still important that we are very keen on data protection and privacy regulations. So if you use this solution, you have an option to store the data on multiple locations. We have now 4 locations in Europe. One in Denmark, one in Germany, one in London, UK, and a new one in Switzerland. And we have a location in the US and one in Australia. Those are the locations where you can store your data. And it's up to you where you want to decide. But getting the data outside Azure, outside Google, inside a private cloud, which is fully certified. We have the ISO 27001 certification and multiple more certification. The data is 100% encrypted during transfer and in rest. It's full redundant. It's blockchain technology. So we do a lot of things to make sure your data is secure.
Sorry, Tom, I need to politely interrupt you. I do apologize. Your slideshow is not updating. It's not going to the next slide. I think it's because you're not in presentation mode. It's been stuck on the first slide for quite some time.
Okay, that is...
I do apologize for the interruption.
No, this is not a good thing. How do I change it? Because
I think you need to hit F5 to go into presentation mode.
I did.
Yeah, it's the view that we're seeing at the moment is we can see all of your slide decks on the left-hand side.
Oh, not the big...
Not the actual presentation view. And what's happened is that you've been stuck on the first slide now for quite some time.
Okay, that's strange because in my view it's changing slide by slide. Do you see the difference now?
Just reshare your screen, please. Yes, now it's displaying correctly.
Okay, so you guys been stuck on the first page. My apologies.
Yes, yeah. Okay, so we'll leave it at that for now. I think you can just continue from where you left off.
No, well, my apologies for
No, it's okay. It's actually it's something that should have been sorted out beforehand by the stage organizer.
But what I will do quickly is run through these slides because I will only show and highlight the
Okay, perfect. Okay.
So As I mentioned, there's a responsibility split in what the cloud providers are running and what the customer has the responsibility for. And here in yellow, you see that the network, hardware, virtualization, and application, everything up all the way up to the application is the responsibility of the cloud provider. And the responsibility for the customer itself, for the user, end user, it's still the user, the data, and administration. That's very important. There's a clear split level where you need to take your own responsibility. And those responsibilities are here mentioned. It's as a customer, as an end customer, it's your responsibility to take human errors, programming errors, malicious deletes, external hackers, viruses, malware, ransomware. Those are all your responsibility to take care. And it's Microsoft and Google, whoever cloud provider you're using, it's their responsibility for hardware, software failure, natural disasters, and power failure. That is their responsibility. So this is very important to understand that even though you're using a cloud solution, it's still your own responsibility to take care of your data in a proper way. It's a cloud-to-cloud backup, as I mentioned. This is already shown or mentioned to you, which will also be very visual when Ralf will do a demo. And as I mentioned, there are two types of company: those that will be hacked and those that have been hacked. So it's not a matter of if, but when you will be attacked in some way. This is also interesting. I already mentioned it. More than 3/4 or almost 3/4 of the reasons for data loss are run back or based on human errors. Important for you to understand. And as I said, we offer a cloud-to-cloud solution. So we take the data, very important to understand, we take the data outside Azure, outside Google, and we make a backup in a private cloud environment. And this private cloud environment is located either in Europe, the US, or in Australia. It's up to you to decide where you want to store your data. We have all this certification in place. Everything is encrypted, not only in transfer, but also in rest. It's fully redundant. It's based on blockchain technology. And we have of course, we are a European vendor, so we have to deal with the European privacy law, which is the GDPR. But I still wanted to mention it to you because I think it's important to understand that we're dealing with personal data and we have absolutely no access to this. And we are very keen and secure with this data use. So that is important to understand as well. And what we do is we make a snapshot between 3 and 6 times per day of your complete environment, store this in a private cloud, and from this private cloud, you can do all the restores, the searches, and everything you need to do to restore your data if you need to, for whatever reason. And this is my cue to show this to you, and this will be done by my colleague Ralf Bogner. Ralf is our senior pre-sales engineer, and he will demo the solution for you. And again, for everybody watching and listening, my apologies for missing the slides from the beginning.
So, thank you, Tom. I will share my screen. So everybody should now be able to see my screen with the dashboard for the backup solution for cloud-to-cloud based backups with our partner Keep It Together. What we see here is at first the dashboard with my cloud apps that I have protected with Keep It. In that case, it's Dynamics Workspace, Salesforce, and of course M365. And that's, let's say, the focus point mostly now at times is of course M365. So I will choose that one in the live demo as an example how it works. First of all, you get this overview of your backups, and as you can see it here, I have different users in the backup, different Teams groups, SharePoint sites. So that is, let's say, the short overview that I can see, okay, everything is healthy. I can download here, of course, anytime a so-called compliance report that I get all the tasks that were performed, like backups, restores, who logged in, all this stuff for more details. But this is, let's say, in the beginning, always my dashboard that I need to get an overview. For more detail, operations, I go to the next page to Cloud Connectors. And here I can add new cloud connectors. In the beginning, you don't have any cloud connectors. You can then just click here on Add Connector, add an M365 backup connector, and then you get asked for your global admin credentials. You have to log into your M365 account. And that's at the beginning all you have to do. Then you can click on OK, and your connector is configured and the backup is started. So it's really easy to create and configure a backup. If you want to adapt the backup a bit more detailed, you can, of course, at any time change the configuration. So what you can see here is what is normally backed up. That means we back up everything for Exchange public folders, OneDrive, SharePoint, groups and Teams chats. Of course, in specific details, we have also a pretty good knowledge page for that. Let's say often the question comes up, hey, do you also back up the private chats inside Teams? How can I do a restore of a private chat message inside Teams? So all these questions are really good documented in the knowledge base. But of course, if you're interested, you can contact me for technical questions or Tom for sales questions at any time. You can also get a demo account for 2 weeks to test it. It's fairly simple. Just send me a mail. I will open the account for you. And then you can create, as you can see it here, this backup connector. If I go, let's say, into Exchange a bit more in detail, you can see here, I automatically activated the sync of OneDrive and Teams chats for the Exchange mail user account. And you can see it here. I have one demo user and the Office 365 administrator. What we normally prefer to do in preparation for the backup before that, we have a conversation with the Active Directory admin, that the admin creates specific backup groups in the Active Directory, and we choose these backup groups instead of the users for the backup. That has the plus point that you can then move specific users that have to be backed up to specific backup groups. Because in the beginning, when you start with the configuration, so if I choose here specific users for specific application inside M365 to backup, I can also define a retention time for the connector. In my case, this is defined for 1 year. When you start creating such a connector, please keep that in mind, is pretty simple. The first start for the backup is fairly simple configured, because in the first start, we back up everything forever. And you don't have to pay for the storage. That is very important compared to other competitors. The point is, we normally store the data forever. But if you have specific, let me say, compliance rules or related to GDPR, it could be that you say, okay, I have a connector that is only used for 1 year, one is used for, let's say, 3 to 5 years, and one is used for 10 years. We have that mostly often for management or in the aviation or automotive industry, that you have this, or tax related in Germany, for 10 years. Then you can just define different retention times. And the different retention times, as you can see it here, unlimited is the standard value, can be set here or can be changed here. And you can also manage the access to the connectors. And you can create, of course, as many connectors as you want with different retention times for different users. And that points me back to the explanation why it makes sense to have specific backup groups. So in that case, you could say, okay, I have a backup group normal employees with 5 years, and I have a backup group management with 10 years as an example. And if somebody gets a new position in the management, you can just move him in the AD group, in the other backup group, and everything is fine and everything is done, because then he is backed up with a retention time of 10 years. So that's the idea beyond the management via the Active Directory groups. Makes it very easy. And then you have all these parts inside. The backup is started. That when the AD groups are prepared, let's say the configuration for the backup takes in maximum 5 minutes. Then you can use the backups out of this connector. You can do a restore with this global restore tool. That means you can just choose, let's say, one of the snapshots when we had an Exchange backup, this Exchange backup of my demo user. I can choose all the mails. I can create a new folder or do an in-place restore. So this is really straightforward. What's also very interesting here is the import feature. So I can also choose from another connector and import data from one user to another user. This is, as you can see it here with my other user accounts here, I am able to choose one of the connectors, let's say the demo user, and maybe choose one of my other employees here to import the data. So this is also interesting when somebody leaves the company and somebody has to take over a project from them. You are also able to import, export data with the global restore tool. But of course, you can also go into the connector at any time to any level up to a single mail and perform a direct restore. That means, as we did it before, I can go to Outlook, I can go in my inbox, I can have because I'm the master administrator now, so I have the most valuable rights inside the connector. I have a preview for that document and I am able to restore the document, overwrite it directly. I am able to download this mail. So this is also possible from any level. That means I can also download the whole user data from one user, or the whole mailbox as a PST file, or the whole OneDrive as an example. So I'm also able to get an offline copy at any time. As this is a cloud-to-cloud backup solution, this is very important. That means if my Microsoft Azure tenant is down for any kind of reason, I'm not able to connect to the Azure cloud, I'm always able to get my data as an offline version and work offline with my data without the need of the Azure cloud, the Microsoft cloud. So I'm always able to proceed offline with my M365 data. I am also able to send this as a link to the person with a limitation of time. That means after this time, the link is not valid anymore, and I can activate this with a password and send this link to the person. So the person is then able to log in with the browser and copy the data for himself. This is extremely let's say this is 90% of the ways are this kind of restore, because this is extremely simple then for the backup administrator, as you normally not at any time you're not really aware, was it this email, was it that email, maybe it was the third email in the conversation. So I can pick a specific point in time, send the user the link, and then he can pick the data by himself and search by himself for the data. Makes it a lot easier than doing that with the backup admin together, or asking for many times for a specific mail the backup admin. I have also a snapshot timeline. So anytime the document changes, I have here a change history. Of course, this email hasn't changed, but if you have, let's say, a Word document or a PowerPoint document and few people working together on that document, of course, you have here a change history. And for the change history, you have then the specific backup snapshots and can choose one of the specific point in time where the change was made that you need or was not made. So you choose a point in time before the changes were made. That can be done with the snapshot history. So as I said, this can be done on any level. I can also now choose the complete inbox and send a link to the user with the complete inbox, that he can then pick out any kind of mail he needs, or I can restore the complete inbox. So this is really, really straightforward. and really easy to use. In combination, let's go to the OneDrive. That makes in that case more sense for me. So you can see I have a specific history. I have then here also the possibility to activate the so-called deleted items view. And I can also choose a specific point in time when I had a backup of something, like a backup snapshot here. And with that deleted items view, if an item was deleted on a specific point in time, I can then see that this item is there available but was deleted before. That means it makes it easier for me to see when was this item deleted, what was the point before that. I have also the possibility to choose specific filters for specific file formats, or I can also, of course, choose here filter by text and search for the items. So this is also important for the restorer, that I can then provide the correct document with the correct point in time. Also, I have the possibility, you can see it here, to set a so-called RTBF label. The RTBF label can only be set, you can see it here, assign RTBF label. The RTBF label can only be assigned by the master administrator and by the compliance administrator. With that RTBF label, this document or this folder or the whole user is not visible and not choosable for a restore for any other user that has access to this system. That is very important, especially in the European Union. It's very important because with that, we are able to fulfill our GDPR rules that we have. That means we have to fulfill paragraph 17 and paragraph 32. Paragraph 17 means the right to be forgotten, and this is the label for that. So if somebody says, okay, I sent you documents, I sent you specific parts of a project, but this project never happens, so I insist that you delete this data, then you can set this RTBF label, and therefore you can use this RTBF option. You can also, as master administrator and compliance administrator, undo this RTBF label. So we see that here we have the RTBF labels here, and only me and the master administrator is able to remove the RTBF label with a comment. This is necessary to fulfill paragraph 32 in case that the lawyers come and will have access to that data. So this is very important because there's no other option available to delete the data. The deleted data because that means if you have data that will be stored for 1 year or for 10 years, then it's not possible to delete the data before, because this data is completely immutable, so also ransomware protected. That is extremely important. Then we have here an overview of the jobs that were made with the backups and everything. We have here an overview of the links that we provided for the people, and we can also delete that links if they are not needed anymore for restore reasons. And here we have an overview of the audit log that can be also, of course, downloaded, sent to compliance or to other mail accounts that are configured. This is the RTBF overview, what I have shown you. Here we have a message overview, what messages are sent to the specific users. And here we have the user information, in my case, the administrator that receives these messages. And here we have also the possibility to activate tokens. And of course, when we go to the account info, you can also use single sign-on, multi-factor authentication. Here you can create new users to access the system. And here under service and billing, you get just the service info that you're running in the SEP CAPS account with us. And under usage, you can see what kind of seat count, what kind of users you are currently backing up. And these are the users then, of course, charged for billing. So really straightforward, simple to use, and we can, of course, give you a demo account for that at any time. That's it so far in a nutshell for the demo. Hope you're interested. Then, just contact us, and Tom and me. We will then, of course, get in contact with you, and you can then test the product. Thank you very much for your time. That's so far from my side. I will now close the tab here with the screen, and I'm back now.
Yeah, what I can add, if you have any questions, please come by to our virtual booth. I will be there the entire day. And if you are also interested in our own products, SAP Sesam, we have a session tomorrow in the afternoon in which we will tell you everything about the product that we also have for on-premise systems. So make sure you join and tune in tomorrow afternoon as well. So, yeah. And again, apologies for the miss thing with the screen, but everything will be shared afterwards. So, thank you for your time. I think you're muted, Keith.
Please, Halle.
Sorry. Thank you very much, Tom and Ralph, for your participation and for the product demonstration. I'm sure a lot of customers and a lot of attendees will be interested in approaching your solution for cloud backups.
Yeah, thank you, Keith. So,
thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.